Okay. So, hello, Karen. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful that someone local from my area was willing to chat with me and who has been so instrumental in my life for all of the different ways that I was able to heal throughout my cancer journey and that sort of thing. So, having you on the podcast was really important to me, and that's true. So, let's get started. So the other day I put out a story and I was talking about busy work, and I was talking about how we keep ourselves busy for whatever purpose, and we'll dive into that, but we keep ourselves busy so that we can have this purpose, this sense of purpose. And you're not actually doing anything that is strategically going to move your life forward per se, but you're also not really doing nothing. But it turns into, 3, 4 days of like, what did I do in the last 3, 4 days? What really happened? And so you connected with me right after I put that story out. And you said, where is that coming from? And that was such a pertinent question. So I thought we need to dive into this in a little bit more depth. So in your opinion, when you first heard my story and I talked about busy work and needing to be constantly busy to feel worthy, I know that you brought up some things within yourself that you thought might connect it, that you felt that you did busy work too at times. So let's talk a little bit about what your opinion is of the busy work.
So in my experience, I was raised on a farm, and you were supposed to keep busy. There wasn't this still time, quiet time. And so in my experience, if I was caught, I'll say resting or lounging, it was a no-no. And especially from my dad, and not trying to throw him under the bus, but that was obviously a strong point for him, was that if somebody's working, you all should be busy. There should be nobody resting. And so it really created this thing in my world where I found myself feeling very guilty sitting while somebody else in the home is working, especially if it's my husband. And if he comes up the stairs and it's during work hours, especially, if he's coming up the stairs and I'm not doing something, there's a wave of guilt that rushes through me. And it is not from him. He does not judge me that way. And I appreciate that about him. But I can tell that I've got this, like, I better do something and I better be productive.
I understand. Yeah. And you both work from home. So yeah, this is something that you deal with quite a bit, is this kind of guilt around, if you're sitting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can identify with that because it's the same sort of thing for me as well. Brad, he'll be away working, and I kind of have this chill, relaxed morning because I'm not very productive in the mornings. I'd love to say I was, but more of a night owl. But anyway, so like I won't be doing anything, and he'll text me on like his second break, and he'll be like, "Oh, so how's your day going?" And I'm like, well, and I'm just like fishing for like, what did I do so that he can be proud of me, and not like, oh God, I'm out here, in the middle of nowhere working, and it's 1 PM. Like, what have you done today?
I totally can relate.
Yeah. And the same story there, right? Like for me, it's not like my husband does that to me, but it's the same story. It's that like my trauma around it is like, I need to continue to be busy so that I'm a contributing member and all of these sorts of things. And, Brad has said to me 100 times, he's like, you are a contributing member. Our house is clean. The food is made, and all these sorts of things. He's like, why do you have to work a full-time job on top of keeping, all of our bills paid and everything like that as well, he's like, where is this coming from? not that many women get husbands like you and I, who are so respectful and so grateful for what we do already, that they don't need us to also work 40 hours on top of that. They're grateful for what we do, which, is work, but yet it's us. We are becoming our own dictators, saying like, we're not contributing enough and that sort of thing. So like, where's the trauma from that on a global scale? Because I mean, it's not just you. Like, I have friends who do the same thing. The husband comes around the corner and they're like, I gotta do something, and like, where did that become a thing? Like, and I have an opinion about it, but I want to ask you first. What do you think?
Well, I feel that, before we had so many machines and things to do jobs for us, everybody had to be busy in order to keep that house functioning. And the housework, the
Yeah.
that cooking and the laundry, that all took literally like the whole day to do. Now that we have these more instant foods and all these, like the wash machine, you throw it in, you walk away. And so I feel that that there is now that a little bit more time in that aspect of things. But then we put on this pressure of, now I have to raise the children, and I have to also have a job to be a contributor to the family. That no longer is the meal prep and laundry and house cleaning considered a value, but yet we'll pay a house cleaner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So
Beautiful.
I feel that's where we've lost that value of keeping the home per se.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely. I think that that's so true. And to further that, I would agree, is that going forward into the new kind of paradigm that we're in, women are business owners now, we are leaders now, we are all of these things, but we still have this generational trauma of like our parents who took 12 hours to do the linens and the house and all of these sorts of things, as we're talking about, right? So we're kind of in this, it is my belief that we're kind of in this like middle ground here, where it's like the women are still expected to do the things that they always did that took so much time, but they are also expected to own the businesses and do all these sorts of things. And I feel like we're kind of that generation that's in that transitional stage, that's which you don't get to be one or the other. You kind of are meant to be both, or like you have this belief, because same thing. I grew up on a farm. Everyone needed to be busy and a contributing member. And now I live outside of a city and in a perfectly like brand new home, and all I have is this little slice of grass, and and that's really all I have to do,
Right.
But I was raised that there's like 12 kilometers of trees that need weeding,
Right.
Yeah. So like I myself am in this like place where I feel like I have this farm value that meets this more ease life, where I'm interested in business and creating my own experience. So I get that, but like, how do we break it? Like, what do we do as women to start to change this paradigm that requires us to be the laundry and the bills and the kids and the business owner and the all these sorts of things? Like, oh, it's too much.
It is a lot. Yeah. I think releasing the guilt, for one, like really just allowing yourself to have that time in that space, and making that a value as well, right? That you are a value to this home, and that you're contributing in all aspects, whether, it might not be bringing money in, but you're not paying a house cleaner, or you're not paying a laundromat. It's really allowing yourself to value you, and and then to let go of the judgment of that, as well. I know with I'm working through with raising two teenagers now, and allowing them to have their space. And I find myself that when I'm busy and my husband are busy, that I'm like, they should be doing something. They shouldn't be just right. So I'm like, I can feel the frustration boiling inside me, and it's like I want to go in there and like be like, get off your butt and go do something, right? But in turn, I want to bust that mentality and that way that I'm having to judge myself, and allow them to feel comfortable, just enjoying life a bit.
Right.
And so I catch myself often like walking to their room ready to tell them to go do something, and I'm like, no, this is like, they know their laundry needs to get done, and they'll do it when they are ready, and I have to just give that space. So I'm hopefully that in generations we'll break those belief systems, and people will feel that taking some time for themselves or being still while someone else is doing work, and that it's okay. And yet to also respect that, you can be a contributing factor. You can offer help without that harsh obligation of having to, that you do it out of kindness.
I love that. Absolutely. And you're mirroring for them that something that you so needed was this intentional sort of rest. Like, could I name it that? Intentional rest, something that you needed to be okay, that you're now doing for them, is helping them to understand intentional rest. And that's been one thing that I work with a lot in my course is teaching women to have compassion and to set aside time for intentional rest. And I wonder if, let me know if this resonates with you, if we said to ourselves in this paradigm of needing to be, the cake and eat it too, if we kind of said to ourselves, like, this is part of my strategy for being a better mom, for being a better business owner, for all of these sorts of things, is to set aside intentional rest, and if you're intending it, you might feel a little less guilty because it was of your own making. Like, would that be another tool that we could utilize for people that are stuck in both?
I would say so. I think that you're going in with the intention that this is to benefit you to work better. Like we work out and we feel good. We also need to take that time for ourselves. And then we have more clarity. We're more content with ourselves. Therefore, we can do our jobs better. We're more productive. When we are hard on ourselves and guilting ourselves into doing stuff, well, we're doing it from a whole different energy, and it's just not as fun. It's hard and it sucks. And so why not give ourselves whatever, that half an hour, or that whatever it is for you, that length of time, saying this is for me and I'm not going to feel guilty about it, and then I'm going to go on and carry on with my day with being productive in another area of my life.
Right. What you said there about you're doing it with another energy. Let's dive into that, because that is so true. So the energy of pushing with no breaks. What is that energy?
Well, it's force, and it's not relaxed. There's no flow. You're forcing it. You think about, the fire hose of water versus the trickle of water. Which one do you want on you? I want the trickle, right? Not that force, that pressure. And so then there's a resistance because you have to fight it. And so when you can be in flow, everything just flows more smoothly. You're open, you're relaxed, you're free. It's just a much calmer, more, I mean, even me just talking about it, I can just feel the difference in the energy of it. It just feels more fun, and it's, I'm more willing to do it.
Right. It's playful now. And
Yes,
it's funny
playful.
because you're doing the same things. It's just from a different energy like that. Oh, I like this. This is juicy. So like this idea of like, of, when you're in this place of I'm in charge of my own destiny. I am in my power here. Then then you don't have this like pushing. Like I have this picture of somebody standing behind you, hurrying you along, and you're just kind of like, get off my back, like I'm doing my best, you know what I mean? As opposed to dancing in the rain, which is, you're still doing the same things, but the energy has changed. So
Yeah.
you're running your business, and you're doing the laundry, and you're raising teenagers, and you're doing all these things, but it's from a completely different energy of enjoyment. And yeah, maybe it takes you like 5 seconds longer to get something done than you would have, because you set aside a half an hour time of this intentional rest for yourself. But when you came back to it, now you were in flow. So the job you did went smoother, quicker,
Right.
more effectively.
Right. So to me, with thinking it's going to take longer is that just a judgment? Because when you're in flow, it's going to flow way more smoothly, and it will just come together like this. If you're trying to create or write a letter, and you're
Mhm.
writing it with this feeling of guilt that you haven't done the dishes yet, or you haven't had that morning coffee because you just had to get this done, I feel that would take you longer than if you had your coffee, maybe did the dishes, and then just went with that free mind space of, let's let this go, right? Or the opposite, where you have the ideas rolling in your head, and you're like, I got to get the dishes done first because hubby's going to be home at 5. And so you choose to do the dishes first, but the ideas and the flow was there at that moment. So go with it.
Yes. And then the hubby walks in the house, and you're resentful because you had to do the dishes before he got back, which was of your own making. But now you're mad
Right.
at him, and and maybe you have a little bit of a tiff, and that took an extra 15-20 minutes.
And yep, boom.
Yeah.
Days destroyed.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're just nail on the head, Karen. Honestly, this is exactly what I think. It's been amazing recently. In my business, I've been coming from less of I'm following this guru who tells me that I have to do my launches this way or that way. And I've been a lot more like, you know what, I'm gonna do what feels right for me. And I have this kind of flowing energy around it. And what's ended up happening is I'm way more effective. It looks way better than it did last time. And on top of that, I'm actually doing a lot of the things that he told me to do, but from a place of like, oh, that'll be a really good idea. And then I reflect back, and I'm like, wait a minute, he said to do that. But before, it felt like this grueling, like I can't do this. And then I couldn't sleep at night, and I was so stressed out and all these sorts of things. And now I'm sleeping like a baby. I feel great. And I'm coming into this launch, instead of a hard launch, I'm coming into a soft launch, and I'm very like, this is just, it's easy.
Yeah.
And yet it's the same amount of work.
Mhm.
And I use this as an example for women going forward. Do you want it to be easier? Do you want it to be hard? Like,
Right.
you're gonna do
And
the same job.
interestingly enough, I find that often we will choose the hard, like, and why, right? It's like, why would I choose that? But yet we do.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and sometimes that hard makes us feel like we're stronger, like we have
Yeah.
to do it to prove it to ourselves.
Beautiful. I was gonna say that's another blockade that we're hitting, in the shift of the paradigm, is this belief that, anything that's worthwhile is hard, and we're coming into a different age where women are saying, not women, men and women are saying, oh wow, it can be easy and effective, it can be flow and effective, but yet we still have this age old belief of like, well, if it's worthwhile, it's hard, so then we make it hard, so that we can say to ourselves, oh, I deserve this because
Right.
it's hard.
Right. Isn't that foolish?
it's, it's a waste of time. It's something.
Yeah. We are interesting creatures.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of shoulding on ourselves, as they say.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh.
in your practice, as an energetic healer and all of these sorts of things, do you think this is a subject matter that comes up a lot for your female patients?
Oh, absolutely. I would say male and female, because there's the stigma of
Really?
men having to support the family and be the breadwinners and la di da di da, right?
Mm,
But yeah, people, I would say that could be the underlying issue. They would come maybe with headaches, or the physical
wow,
body is showing signs and symptoms of them not being in flow, and not allowing and carrying that guilt of not being there enough as a mother or as a wife or a contribution to the family, right?
wow,
And so then you get talking with them, and you realize that these are the things that are really keeping them stuck, and it's causing their body to be in pain or agony, and then you're lacking sleep, and it just snowballs.
wow.
So yes, that definitely is something that shows up for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And in the types of healings that you would do for them, I know you work in Jinshinjutsu, you do access bars, all of these sorts of things. What do you find is the most effective healing space for somebody who's listening to this who says like, oh man, like I really need I need some help in this area. What would be a good form of healing to move into that you would recommend?
Well, I think the access bars would be a nice place to start, because access bars is about running 32 points on the head that when they're ran, they start to dissipate and release these old belief systems that are no longer serving us. And it's very relaxing. It's not invasive by any means. It's just, you basically leave like you've had a nice massage. And the more you want to dive into the situation, we can bring up the topics. We have what we call access clearings, verbal clearings that we use, that can help speed up the process of letting go of specific beliefs. And then if it's about their body, their physical body hurting, then I would do more of the Jinshin Jitsu aspect first, just because you want to give some relief there, allowing them to feel better
Mhm.
in their body, and then working with letting go of that judgment, and allowing them to become more empowered in themselves.
Wow. What a beautiful practice. I know I've received it from you, and there was some big breakdowns, some beautiful breakdowns, and I remember just weeping, and walking out with just a different sort of mind, as if, yeah, like you said, as if you had a massage to some of that limiting belief systems, and those kind of releases that happen. So do people need to be present with you physically in your room for this process, or do you do distant healing, or what do you like to do?
The access bars is present. You should be in. Access is about receiving, and so part of it is allowing yourself to receive the session and being willing to show up for it. So that's a big aspect of access. But the Jinshin Jitsu definitely can be done from a distance, so that there is an option there with that one.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, your work has been so pivotal in my life that I feel called to just kind of explain a little bit of the work that you do so that if someone is local, I assume local is necessary in order to work with you, that someone's listening, that they would be able to connect with you. Am I correct on that?
Well, there can be, I will say the access clearing statements, we could do verbal conversations and letting go that way. It's just at the actual physical running the bars, we call it, the access bars session is in person. But if there's things that you're finding, a topic that you're stuck on in a judgment, we can do verbal clearings. That could be done over a Zoom call or a phone call. And Jitsu again could be distance, but I also work from 2 locations. So I work in Humboldt 3 days out of the month, and then in Saskatoon to have personal in-person sessions. So
beautiful. Okay. Well, and how can people find you and connect with you, Karen?
So I have a Facebook page, Touch of Vitality with Karen. There's also a website, Touch Vitality, that people can reach me on. It's vitality.weebly.com. touchofvitality.weebly.com. Yeah.
Okay.
And otherwise, also on Instagram with the same Touch of Vitality with Karen. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll link all of that in the show notes so that people can find you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, this has been so illuminating, and I'm really looking forward to, for the rest of my day anyway, to ask myself, do I want this to be easy or do I want this to be hard? Because I feel like that's one of the main tools that we can really pull from this, is that you're going to get the work done. Do you want it to have somebody pushing you on the back the entire time, or do you want to have that free flow, that ease, just as effective, while setting aside that intentional rest for yourself?
Yeah, like what is if I do this now, what will that create? How will I feel? It's another thing that they really encourage is for us to live in question. So always ask a question. Don't decide that it's going to be something. Just stay open and ask what else is possible. And if I didn't feel like this, what else could I feel? Just pulling in some of those different questions to allow the energy to contribute to you, allow that space of flow. So
absolutely. Yeah, asking that question, I think that's really key there. And then you're not the the jackrabbit following the weasel down the hole. You are instead watching this tug of war and asking yourself, what kind of energy do I want to be in here? Where will my energy leak? How can I add to my soul? Those types of things. Yeah.
And if I wasn't judging myself, what would I choose?
Good question. Right?
Right? Like, so if I really wasn't judging myself, if I wasn't judging what I want to do, what would I choose? What would be fun?
Beautiful. Okay.
So
good. All right. Well, this has been so excellent. I love picking your brain on this. I'm so grateful.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being part of it.
You're welcome.